Okay, you've got to hear this. A new AI model just dropped that can build a fully animated website from a single sentence. It's called Qwen3-Coder-Next, and it's a seriously powerful coding agent with some capabilities that are, well, they're pretty incredible. Let's see what it can do.
And we're not going to waste any time here. The absolute best way to understand what this thing is capable of is just to see it in action. So I want you to imagine giving an AI a single, detailed prompt and getting back a fully functional, animated, and responsive website. That is exactly what Qwen3-Coder-Next pulled off. Now, to really get a feel for why this is such a big deal, let's put it into perspective. When the exact same prompt was given to a really strong competitor, GLM 4.7, it came back with a pretty good static website. I mean, not bad at all, but Qwen3-Coder-Next, it just took it to a whole other level, adding in animations and a layer of polish that suggests a much, much deeper understanding of the request. All right, but this is where the story takes a really interesting turn. Because if you just look at the standard performance numbers, you might actually be a little confused. There's a bit of a puzzle here that we need to unpack. So take a look at this. On a very common, widely used test called SWE-Bench Verified, Qwen3-Coder-Next is, well, it's actually scoring lower than its rivals. It comes in at about 70.6%, while the others are up there at 74%. So at first glance, you'd probably think it's a step behind, right? Which, brings up the obvious question. If it's scoring lower on a standard test, then what is all the hype about? Was that amazing website demo just some kind of lucky fluke? Well, the answer has everything to do with how you measure performance. Because when we switch over to a different, much more advanced benchmark called SWE-Bench Pro, man, the picture completely flips. On this much harder test, Qwen3-Coder-Next isn't just a little bit better. It is the clear, decisive leader, outperforming everybody else by a pretty huge margin. Okay, so what is SWE-Bench Pro, and why does it give us such a different result? Why is it a much better reflection of an AI's ability to handle the kind of coding challenges you'd find in the real world? Well, let's break it down. SWE-Bench Pro isn't just another collection of abstract coding puzzles. It was specifically built to give us a more rigorous and, this is the key part, a more realistic evaluation of how an AI agent actually performs on the kind of tasks a human software engineer would face day to day. And it does this by focusing on something called long horizon tasks. Think about it like this. A simple task is like being asked to fix a typo in one sentence of a book. But a long horizon task, that's like being asked to write a whole new chapter. You got to understand the plot, the characters, the writing style of the entire book. For a developer, that's the difference between fixing one tiny bug and building out a whole new feature that touches multiple files all across the codebase. And that is a total game changer. And what's really fascinating is that SWE-Bench Pro was built from the ground up to fix the flaws of older benchmarks. It's designed to tackle messy, complex, real-world problems. It uses tasks from all sorts of diverse codebases. And crucially, it addresses the risk of data contamination, meaning it makes sure the AI isn't just remembering a solution it saw during training. It has to actually problem solve, which leads to much more reliable results. All right, let's bring this full circle. How does all this talk about benchmarks connect back to that incredible animated website we saw at the very beginning? Well, that stunning demo, that wasn't just a gimmick. Building a website like that means you have to create and link multiple files. You need HTML for the structure, CSS for all the styling and animation, and probably some JavaScript for interactivity. It is the perfect real-world example of a long horizon task. And this really shows you the complexity we're talking about. The model wasn't spoon-fed 3 separate instructions for the HTML, the CSS, and the animations. Nope, it was given one big, complex, overarching goal, and it had to figure out how to break that down and execute it across all those different files. This is exactly the skill that SWE-Bench Pro measures, and it's the skill that separates a simple autocomplete tool from a true AI development partner. And maybe the best part of all this isn't some theoretical thing locked away in a research lab. You can download and run this powerful agent on your own computer right now, completely for free. Getting started, if you already use Ollama, is super simple. It's literally just 2 commands in your terminal. First, you run Ollama run Qwen3-Coder-Next to download the model. Then, you can use a command like Ollama launch with a tool like Claw to start throwing your own complex coding tasks at it. So when you step back, the story of Qwen3-Coder-Next is really about something bigger than just a powerful new tool. It highlights a critical shift in how we even evaluate AI.
As these models get better and better at tackling these complex, messy, real-world problems, our tests have to evolve just as fast to actually measure what matters. It leaves you wondering, are we ready for what comes next?